We are back, JUCO Hoops Insider. We're in week 3 of the JUCO season, headed into week 4, but we're recapping week 3. We have a special guest who had a monster game this week, one of the coolest in junior college that you'll see, kind of like you see at the Division I level. Able to have a 1 versus 2 matchup. They were actually the underdog going in. They were the host, but now they are the number 1 team in the country in the polls, and you can probably guess why, because they won that game. So we got Coach Hanks coming in the building to talk about his team and his Indian Hills program. Coach, what up, man?
How we doing, man? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, doing well, man. Excited. Got some JUCO dunks in the background. Now, you don't have a picture of you playing back in the day in the background, do you?
No. That would have been a miss. That would have been a failed attempt at a dunk if we put that in the background. So
I love it. I love it.
We put the real players up on the wall.
Yeah, no doubt. And you got some real players now. So we're going to talk straight about the game. We'll talk about your team, your journey. We'll talk about a little bit of everything. But
sure,
let's just get to the big-time matchup. How did this matchup come about? Obviously, you and Coach have a long-time friendship, one important person in your coaching journey. How did you guys come about to play this game? And then will it be something that you see every year at each other's place? How does that look, Coach?
Yeah, so obviously Coach DeMeo and I worked together at Providence back in. I was a student manager and a grad assistant, and he was an assistant coach. So, kind of when I got into this crazy business that we're in, he was a major part of that, and I learned a lot about coaching and and just everything that goes into it from him. So he's somebody that I've known for 15 or 20 years, and we talk regularly. And when he kind of resurfaced at Northwest Florida this year, we had most of our schedule done, but he was still looking for some games. And I think he was trying to look for some kind of primetime games. And kind of when he was there the last time, we had agreed that we would start playing and we would go home and home. And he left after the first game of that. He took a assistant coaching job in Division I after the first game of that series. So we just kind of decided to pick up where we left off. And, and obviously it's a marquee game for us here. We get great crowds, and we have a very passionate fan base. So bringing in a powerhouse program like Northwest Florida is tremendous here in our community and for us. And he was gracious enough to come up here to Ottumwa here in the first game. And it was a heck of a game, heck of an environment. And obviously it's always a little bit better coming out on the right side of it. So very fortunate enough to, and blessed to get the opportunity to defeat a really strong number 1 ranked team. But it was a heck of an environment, a heck of a basketball game, and I think a great representation of our level of junior college basketball. So, and yes, we are going to go down to Niceville next year, so we're going to return the game, and
nice.
So we'll go play at Northwest Florida next year, and definitely it's something I think we'd like to continue to do, but we'll kind of take it one year at a time. But yes, we will go down there and return the game next year.
What's the feedback you've gotten? Obviously, you had a big-time live stream. People talked a lot about that. I got to tune in for a little bit of it, doing some traveling myself with big-time environment. Talk a little bit about the live stream and just the feedback you've gotten from doing a game like this, because everyone couldn't necessarily be there in person.
Yeah,
had great on-campus support, but Division I coaches, Division II coaches all across the country were into this game. So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, we've partnered with a company here in our community, and they've created Go Hills TV, which is kind of it's kind of a branch of their company, Go Pitch TV. But they do a phenomenal job at broadcasting all of our basketball games, and not just our basketball games, but all sports and really everything Indian Hills related. So they put 110% into as far as the production and the quality, and there's high def cameras on the floor. I mean, there's probably, I think, 5 or 6 cameras, different angles for the games. There's obviously a score bug, just like you'd see if you were watching on ESPN or something like that. So I mean, it's kind of our Go Hills TV has been a great partnership for us. All of our games, they broadcast live on Facebook. There's a website, gohillstv.com, and they have an app that you can, if you have a Roku device, you can download the app. And so there's a lot of different ways that they make it available to watch our games. So but no doubt, I mean, I think we did they did we did a very I guess Division I like press conference.
I was going to say the press conference. It felt like a heavyweight fight the way that you guys had the press conference, and both of you guys were there, which is very rare. Normally it's just like one side talking, but you had
Yeah, it's funny. Like I think sometimes, I think it's a great showcase for our level. And I
Yep.
think sometimes because we coach recruitable athletes, I think sometimes whether it's sometimes you get caught up in really just trying to sell your own program and sell your own kids and to promote your but I think Indian Hills and Northwest Florida kind of sell themselves and kind of promote themselves. So we tried to really just sell the game in the situation. Honestly, I think it's a positive for the best teams at our level to play one another. I see how Michigan State schedules. I see how Gonzaga schedules. And I see how Houston schedules. And I think that it's sometimes at our level you can get a little protective about your program or your kids or your record or things like that. But at the same time, I think when Indian Hills and Northwest Florida are able to play and the game gets promoted and distributed and broadcasted the right way, and I think it's a really positive representation of Indian Hills, of Northwest Florida, of the NJCAA, and junior college basketball as a whole.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Definitely a great stage for junior college basketball, great stage for your program, and then just for both programs. And, you wish you'd have more games where higher level teams. It feels like there's more of that going on now in junior college, probably
Yeah.
because of the at large.
And I think and I'll give the NJC and the at-large committee a lot of credit because I think they reward the teams that do try to play the best. It's I don't know. It's tricky. There's in different parts of the country. There's a lot of different. There's everybody deals with different issues.
Right.
And
Right.
and you want to play the best teams possible. You want to at the same time. I think still junior college coaches are nervous that if they go 21-9, no matter who you play, you're going to get left out or you're going to get
Right.
overlooked. So I do think that, or even Division I coaches will overlook your kids because your record isn't quite what maybe they think it should be. So
Right.
at the same time, I do think when you put the best product on the floor, when you are doing what's in the best interest of the student athletes, of the coaches, of the communities, of the schools, I think things always tend to work out themselves. And I think the NJCAA has done a very good job at rewarding the teams that do try to put that, to genuinely challenge themselves to play the best teams and to, in turn, become the best basketball teams and have the best basketball players.
And ultimately it serves the players because that's what they signed up for.
No
And
doubt.
even if, let's say, somehow you don't make, not you, but a team that schedules tougher doesn't make the NCAA tournament or NJCA tournament with an at-large bid, it does benefit your program and your players because now you have a tape. I'm a former Division I coach. I know how it goes. If you see somebody play against Indian Hills versus maybe somebody in their league that may not have the same level of talent, just doesn't mean as much. So if a kid can show those type of games in that environment, it's just like an NBA scout coming to a high level game watching. I went to the Texas Gonzaga game. So if you're at that game and you see somebody perform well, it's like, okay, this means something different. So I do think from a recruiting standpoint, it's beneficial for your guys too.
100%, and I think that, and I think when you watch that game and you see the quality of, Indian Hills versus Northwest Florida, the previous week
Right.
we played at John A. Logan, we try to put
Right.
ourselves in those situations all the time. I saw a couple things I know, and I know it's meant as a compliment, but when it's all of a sudden you see, there's 10 or 12 Division I players in the game, there's really about 25, like, I mean, yeah, like yeah. And it's hard to, when you say that, a lot of people maybe miss that because we might have a guy that's averaging 5.8 points on our team.
Right.
And in November it's okay. Well, no, that guy's probably a mid-major player,
Right.
and when you play other teams that have 12 to 13 Division I players, it's, man, these, our guys have to compete every day in practice to, they're getting better against each other every day. And then you play another opponent where you're heavily scouted, and shoot, I mean, there's probably 12 to 14 Division I transfers in that game,
Right.
and so like, it's almost to me like a very good mid-major college basketball game, and I think that, especially once April and May comes around and those mid-major Division I schools are looking for players. And honestly, they're looking for guys. No Division I school really, no matter what they say, is looking for one of our kids to come in and be their leading scorer. Like,
Right.
if that happens, that's a major positive.
Right.
But they might tell the kid they need him to be the leading scorer.
Right.
But But if a guy gets there, if they're playing 18 minutes, the coach is going to say, no, he's an impact guy. He's been a great player.
For
And I
sure.
think when you recruit our program or Northwest Florida, guys are used to having to compete every day for minutes. Guys are used to competing against other very good players. There's nothing assured. It's not like if you don't average 18 that
Right.
you'll be disappointed. So I do think that that's why if you recruit the top 12 to 15 programs in junior college, that that our guys do have success because they're used to being on a team with
Right.
10, 11, 12 other, potential mid-major Division I players.
Yeah, and I think to add to that, they're also used to not playing all the minutes, like you just said, and having to find their way to still impact winning within that. You know what I mean? Because it's not just competing to see who can play more, but it's also how can I get on the floor to help our team win to get me to where I want to go ultimately. So I think it's hard to do sometimes with guys that have played big roles.
Yeah.
And then you get on a team and you're not playing that same role. So I think there's a lot to be said about that. We're going to talk about your team in just a second, but in general with Indian Hills, you've been there. I think now, in my opinion, you're one of the faces of junior college basketball, as a lot of these guys keep.
That's scary.
Oh man, I love it. But yeah, you've been an assistant. So talk a little bit about two ways, your path to get where you are, because I think people see Hank and it's like, oh, well, that's easy. He's at Indian Hills. It's easy to do what he's doing because he's at this storied junior college blue blood, if you will. So number one, we know it's not easy, but talk about your journey to get where you are. And then two, you have had a bunch of guys on your team on that maybe haven't played these big roles. How are you able to, one, navigate that? And what do you think it is that you guys are doing that helps prepare those guys? I know that's like a long question. Tell us about you, then tell us about the program.
I think, so I guess this is my 8th year as the head coach at Indian Hills. This is it's 5 years as an assistant. So
see, now you see why you're one of the faces, man.
Yeah, 13 years in junior college. So I went to school and I was a GA at Providence. So I was fortunate enough to experience high major basketball as a 20 to 23-year-old kid that didn't really know what he was doing. I would have done anything you asked me to do back then. I just thought it was, I tried playing basketball and shoot, I was, I guess I was a decent player, but not a Division I player for sure. So my father actually went to Providence College, and it's kind of a family thing. So I decided rather than play, kind of low-level college basketball, that I wanted to go to Providence, and I just kind of, in a weird twist of a coincidence, I guess, got caught up with working with the basketball team, and I enjoyed it from the start. And again, I was willing to do anything that I was asked. Nothing. There was no task or job that was beneath me or I didn't get or things like that. I just loved being part of it. And kind of as I went through college, and I was asked to stay on as a grad assistant and did 2 years as a graduate assistant at Providence. That's still been a very valuable experience in my career because I do know what is expected at the highest level. And we're trying to prepare our guys here for the highest level. We're gonna watch clips of the Gonzaga-Kentucky game today because I think our guys should cut like those guys cut. I think our guys should play off 2 feet like those guys play off 2 feet. I think the guards should defensive rebound like those guards defensive rebound. We still try to equate everything we do and how we do it to what is expected at the highest level of college basketball. So I wouldn't trade my experience at Providence for anything. Afterwards, I did 1 year as an assistant coach at Arkansas Fort Smith for Josh Newman. I did 1 year as an assistant coach here at Indian Hills for Jeff Kidder. And then I went to South Plains in Texas for 4 years as an assistant coach for Steve Green, who, is arguably the best junior college coach that there's ever been. And obviously my time here at Indian Hills helped me get connected and get a foot in the door to get the job, the head coaching job here. But those 4 years at South Plains were very valuable, and we're fortunate enough to win a national championship my first year. In my last year, we lost a national championship game in overtime. In the middle years, we were very competitive, and you just got to see the Coach Green is who's obviously at Texas Tech now. He keeps the main thing, like they're the things that go into and impact the success of the kids and winning and how each person individually will benefit from our team's success. Like anything that makes the players better or makes our team better is very, very important. And I guess that's the biggest thing I learned there, especially at our level, because we have to do a lot of different things at junior college. We don't have 12, 13 guys on a staff. So that prepared me really well to be the head coach here, and obviously going on my 8th season, I guess, or a third through my 8th season as the head coach here at Indian Hills. So again, I value. I don't know. I guess I've intentionally tried to be around good people and winning programs. I guess part of the reason why I'm still here is because I mean I'm not eager just to make a move. Like I'm able to coach very, very good players. Where our kids are on full scholarship, and I know not in junior college everybody's like that. So no doubt we are blessed here. We do have an administration and a school that has historically always been a basketball crazy school and supports us, and that is an advantage, but at the same time I see a lot of coaches that would take any Division I job that just want to be, and yeah, no doubt I've been a little selective, because we do have a great situation here and we're able to be picky and choose the kids that we want to coach, the guys that need to come to our level for a specific reason. And I take a lot of pride in, I guess, the success of our players the last 7 or 8 years. I don't know if we've had the most guys go Division I or anything like that, but I got to imagine it's a very high number. Again, I'm not really into the comparing and contrasting thing, but I know that we've had a very, very high success rate. And I guess about our program, I mean, I try to treat it like, I want our guys, I want this to be just as big of a challenge for a sophomore in college as a sophomore that's at SMU or that's at Wyoming, because those guys are working hard every day. They're lifting every day. They're working on their bodies every day. They're going through 2.5, 3 hour practices every single day. And I want our guys not just to get to that level, but be prepared to be an impact player when they get to that level. So I mean, I don't know. Here they'll have class in the morning. We'll have team practice. We'll do extra shooting. We'll do individual workouts. We watch film. I mean, I think it's a very Division I like atmosphere and feel. And I want guys to join our program that are looking for that. I mean, if you'd rather, if living on the beach in Florida is more important, then hey man, that's not the kid to come to Indian Hills.
Right.
If you really want to get better for 8, 9 months or a year and 8, 9 months and put everything that you have into basketball, then we will match that. We will invest in you and make sure that you develop and that you improve, and that whether people think that you're player number 1 or player number 14, nobody's different to me. I mean, it's just as important that every single person on our team feels that this experience is helping them grow as a person, and for sure making them a better basketball player.
Yep, well said. We're going to talk about your team, talk about player-wise, the guys on this team. So the unique thing about your program, like you said, is you do have more, not necessarily more, you have full scholarships, and you have a number of them, maybe even more than some Division I's in most cases. So you do have a number of guys on scholarship, and most of those guys, right, wrong, or different, are Division I caliber players. So I guess the thing is, we'll talk about your whole team because I'm sure that everyone fits Division I. But how is it that people are able to see the value, or how are you able to connect the value to them? Like, let's say that guy that averages 6 a game on your team. How is that guy able to go Division I? Before we talk about the individual players on your team.
Well, I guess I think our past success has a part in that. I know you're familiar with. I'll use Drake Jeffries as an example. I think Drake averaged 9 or 10 here. In the first half of the year, probably averaged 6 or 7. Drake is a high character, hardworking young man that I thought was going to be a great player from the start. I didn't think he was quite there, but I thought he had all the tools.
And came from, not to interrupt you, came from an NAIA prior to, is that correct?
Division II, yeah. He came from Minot State, which is and he redshirted his first year. I mean, more or less because he was a project, I mean, and then he played, maybe averaged 6 or 7 points as a freshman. And to me, like, I look for how well do you move, how well do you shoot, and Drake's a 6'5", 6'6" kid, long, athletic, that can really jump off 2 feet and really shoot. So those guys, with hard work and character, man, that they get better fast. So it didn't shock me that he got better, but I do think that, he's not a guy that was an All-American here, but he goes to Wyoming and he's a, I guess, first, second, third most important player on an NCAA tournament team. Played 36, 37 minutes a game last year. I think he leads the G League right now and made 3-pointers, so just, I guess, having guys that have done it before does help our guys buy into the fact that if you give this everything you have for 8 or 9 months, don't worry about, because when they go home for Christmas, I tell them, family asks, how many points do you average? How are
Right.
you starting?
Right.
Who's recruiting you? You
Right.
know, and those are tricky questions in November and December, because I think our leading score right now averages 13 points a game. If anybody, we have enough players where nobody's averaging 20. And we'll lose some players in recruiting that tell me that coaches say, hey, if you come here, I'll score more.
Right.
Well, yeah, you might score more if you go to whatever school that is. But
Right.
but again, if you come here, you're going to get better. You're going to be part of a winner. I think this is, how many how do their players do? Not just do they get Division I, but
Right.
make sure. And again, I don't point any specific out, but make sure you do your homework on seeing the examples. If there's every school has 1 or 2 examples, I think we have a lot. And so, like, that's just kind of, and I think our guys know that. We recruit a lot of players that know other guys that have played here. It's I have Trayon Grant Foster and Shamir Carruthers on my team right now. Trayon's older brother was Tyon, who
He's pretty good.
was an All-American here and went to Kansas. And Shamir's older brother is Dante Carruthers, who went to Buffalo and won the TBT this summer as a professional basketball player.
Yep.
And that's actually family. Enoch Kalambe is a second-year player here. He grew up with JD Mula, who's at Southern Illinois, and JD and Enoch they are brothers that I guess maybe aren't blood related, but
Right.
but they know each other. So I think that our own players are probably our biggest advocates in recruiting, and and I think that once you build a program kind of like we have, I think that guys know what it is coming in, but they know that if they put the work in, that the benefits coming out of here will be everything they hope for.
What's the secret sauce or the secret formula for 4-year coaches that come to recruit a kid from Indian Hills? Because you're not recruiting somebody that just has one person on them most times. Most of the time, there's a lot of coaches coming to the gym. There's a lot of people calling you. What is one of the secrets you would give to a coach that wants, maybe a new coach, maybe it's an older coach that wants to get a player from Indian Hills?
Be honest, first of all, and be straight up, and don't, like, there's no tricks. There's no, I don't know. Like, I'm not the best at, if you call and you want to recruit Enoch Kalambe, and the first thing you do is tell me, hey man, I got this 7-footer for you, man. Like, I'm not very transactional like that,
Right.
Like, we're going to be fine. We're going to have a really good team next year. Like,
Right.
It matters more to me that Enoch Kalambe is somewhere where he's cared about, where their team has been successful, and it's positive culture, and where there's an opportunity for him to play. Our guys, when they leave here, like, sometimes people ask, our kids are doing pretty well in Division I right now. And all right, well, why is that the case? Because we tried to find them opportunities where they were needed. We actually do look at kind of what the roster looks like a little bit. We do look at, kind of what is the head coach involved in the recruiting? Does the head coach know who he is? I want people to come in and look at our team and to evaluate our players and to be very familiar with them. We'll do everything in the world to promote our guys. Yep. But shoot, I tell our guys, it's a business now. Like, coaches are paid to win, and assistant coaches are paid to get players, and so they're going to try to get you, and if you're going to be smart, you have to find a place where you're genuinely loved and believed in for who you are, and that there's an opportunity and a need for you to step right in, because my guys don't want to go somewhere as a junior and sit on the bench. They want to contribute, so I think just kind of painting that honest and open picture about what the future will look like, it's very important. I do like it when our guys go to places where junior college players have been an important part of the equation. Like, it's there's some schools that and we've both been doing this a long time. We know the head coaches that if a junior college kid struggles on day one, it's I shouldn't have taken the JUCO kid. Well, I'm very skeptical about putting our guys in a position where that there's some kind of negative assumption from the head coach that's not legit. I want if Drake Jeffries is at Wyoming and struggles the first day, I want them to say, man, hey, we'll get through this. We know he's the real deal. We know we know he's the guy for us.
Right. We've had junior college guys struggle like him before and be great.
Exactly. And I think junior college transfers have gotten, okay, it takes a JUCO kid some time to adjust. Possibly. But in general, it takes transfers time to adjust. Like,
No
and I think coaches are learning that right now. Like,
question. They're learning it more now because before, not to jump in on you, but before junior college transfers was kind of the only transfer that you could get. Now you have transfers from everywhere, and it takes everybody time to adjust. Talk about that real quick. I know I jumped in on your question and your answer, but talk about recruiting the portal, which everyone is excited about, which has value, but JUCO, it feels like it's coming back around where people are relearning. Wait a minute, these JUCO guys still have a lot of value. What's your kind of philosophy or thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's the fact that everybody is taking transfers is to me the biggest deal. When they made quote unquote the portal, well, it kind of legitimized taking transfers. Now Duke and Kentucky take transfers. I remember 5 or 6 years ago, it was a transfer epidemic, and if, we would take transfers and the West Virginias of the world would take transfers and the Iowa States of the world would take transfers. And I don't know, it was kind of, you're taking, if he didn't make it somewhere else, then why will he make it here? Whereas now I think there's a lot more understanding that, shoot, the time and the place and the fit and the roster and the situation, like all that stuff goes into, not every player shines in every environment. You see that in professional sports, when guys change teams, all of a sudden they're a better version of themselves. So I think the biggest change is that everybody is looking at all these guys. It's fun. I've mentioned Drake a few times, but I literally told him the other day, he asked kind of, how's junior college basketball this year? And I told him, I said, man, if here 3 or 4 years later, you were in the portal, I don't think I would have been the only guy to see that you could really shoot and you can really jump off 2 feet,
Mm-hmm.
and if an assistant coach at Northern Illinois had seen that, shoot, you would probably go there over coming here, So I think at our level, it is hard to beat a Division I for a transfer. I have 6 or 7 Division I transfers on our team this year. And I ask them sometimes, did you have a D1 offer? And when I say that, did a D1 head coach look you in the eye or on FaceTime and tell you, I want to coach you? Right. That's what I consider an offer in the portal. Right. I don't consider an assistant coach calling on day one and saying, we want you as an offer.
Because there's a mass amount of that going on.
There's a lot of that because you got to do that to get your foot in the door.
No doubt.
I get it. And I get that 100%. So, it's just a different world. And I do think that right when the season ends, from about March 5th to March 30th, I think, there's 30 kids a day going in the portal, and that gets the attention. I think during our season, we do have to promote and make sure Division I coaches are aware of how good our players are, of what their strengths are. And shoot, I tell them what the areas they need to improve are. I don't think coaches think that they're getting, a bunch of nonsense when they ask us about our kids. I mean, we're going to paint the whole picture, and then at the end, I'll tell you what I think, why I think they'll be successful. Because I do think our team right now, I think every one of these guys is going to be a successful Division I player. But I also know what they struggle with, so we try to paint that whole picture. So I think we need to do that during the season, and I think coaches coming in the gym and us communicating with Division I coaches is very, very important. Because right when the season ends, that portal mania gets crazy. But then once everybody watches through it and everybody's after the same kids and then kind of the leftovers are left, most of our guys in April and I'd say the first 2 weeks of May last year, they went off the board pretty fast.
Yeah, I think it's almost like a draft or free agency, if you will. Yeah. There's this first wave and there's like these max contract guys, right? That everyone wants to kind of build around and you have to get those guys right away. But then after that, there's this wave of like, okay, wait a minute. Now the dust has settled. There's a bunch of names in the portal, but we need to get a certain level quality of guy, and this may not be the route to get it. And then they open the doors back up to all possibilities. And it feels like you do a great job, probably as great as anyone as a head coach specifically to promote not only your guys that are with you now, but your guys that have left and that are continuing to have success. I think it's a great way to use social media as a tool for your program and not just say, oh, we're Indian Hills, come recruit our guys, but you really fight and go to bat and make a case consistently for your guys to just be insight in mind, kind of like you said, during the season. Talk a little bit about that strategy and then tell us about the individual guys on your team, if you don't mind, and who should be recruited. Maybe give a couple of things on each guy, like, hey, this guy's this and this, if you don't mind.
Yeah. So no doubt, just to follow up, we always try to promote our players because, I mean, their success is really what makes our program go. I mean, I think that I tell our guys all the time, they need to use basketball. Don't let basketball use you, and we want them to take advantage of everything that they learn here, that they gain here. We want them to benefit from by their experience in Indian Hills. I think guys are in it for the wrong reasons. If you're not trying to, if the player's success when they graduate and leave isn't what really drives you, then I think you're probably doing it for the wrong reasons. So our current team, obviously, we're probably about to be number one in the country, which is as I told the guys yesterday, it's kind of a checkpoint. It's a good honor.
The media poll has come out.
That's all that matters. That's all that matters. All right,
the media has spoken.
So no doubt. And 3 weeks ago, if I were to tell you we would be here at 9-0, we were figuring some things out, and we beat a great Dodge City team in our first game. Don McHenry made a 3 at the buzzer. We're down 2 to win by 1. So we executed a late game situation, did real well there. We've won at Three Rivers. We executed a late game situation at John A. Logan, who I think was ranked about 11th or 12th at the time, to win by 2. And then obviously had a big win over Northwest Florida and a bunch of other teams in between. We beat Cloud the first weekend. They just beat Hutch yesterday. I knew beating Cloud would be a very good win for us, and I can see them being ranked. So we've gotten off to a very, very good start. And I always want our guys to get the rewards they deserve. So I do feel, I'm not surprised. I feel like our 9-0 record is probably the strongest so far. But it's obviously just the beginning, and we got to keep it going. I do really like our team. I guess the first guys I want to talk about are the front court guys who aren't averaging the most points. But we have Ledoux Lakou, who starts at the 5 for us, went to Texas A&M Corpus Christi for a year, then went to Cal State Fullerton for a year. 6'10", 6'11", man, runs, blocks shots, rebounds. He's in a gym at 6 a.m. almost every morning. He is a leader by example. I can't tell you how impressed I've been by him. He had some mid to high major interest type stuff early. And again, there's just not many 6'10", 6'11", high character guys that can run, block shots. Shoot, he had a game-winning dunk at John A. Logan. He would have dunked it on about an 11-foot basket. Still getting more and more comfortable on offense, but I think his future is very, very bright. We have a second-year 6'11" kid named Leroy Odiahi, who's from Ireland, who's long, skilled, can pass, can dribble, has gotten way better at protecting the rim this year. Again, another guy that I think, there's not a lot of 6'10", 6'11" skilled, high upside dudes, and Ledoux and Leroy stand out for sure. David Jones has been a big part of our success. He played a year at Sacramento State and then went to Panola Junior College last year. 6'8", 6'9". He can be a small 4 or a big 5, runs. David Jones has no idea how good he can be. I think if you look at his stats, I think it was like 3-3 at Sacramento State and maybe even just 6-5 at Panola. He's a guy that I guess probably not many people at our level would have taken. But, man, when you watch him on film, team-oriented, moves the ball, willing to do anything to help the team win, willing to guard anybody, is getting better and better. And then I guess we have a front court kid named R.J. Ogum, who went to college at Charleston for a year in Fort Wayne. And R.J. is kind of a face 4, maybe Draymond Green type forward. Great body, can really shoot it. And is getting better and better. Missed a year with a torn labrum. Has kind of had to work his way back from some injuries. So I guess we got some guys that are scoring a lot of points, but I just wanted to make sure. I don't think we'd be even close to where we are as a team without those 4 guys in the front court. And I tell the guys that have the ball in their hand a lot that exact thing on a daily basis. I think sometimes front court guys, on a ball screen defense, if somehow they don't play perfect, they get criticized. But our front court guys are bailing us out, and they're not getting, they're not at the top of the box score maybe. But man, I think all 4 of those guys, Ledoux Lakou, Leroy Odiahi, David Jones, and R.J. Ogum, will be very, very successful Division I players at their next spot. We do have some guys that are scoring the ball. Don McHenry's Division II transfer from Hawaii Hilo. He hit the buzzer beater versus Dodge City. Don's a lefty from Milwaukee that can fill it up. I mean, Don can score in so many ways. He's got a herky-jerky game with wiggle, and I mean, he can do some things with the basketball that not many guys can do. He's been a huge part of our success. Ryan Myers is a transfer from Iona that's been starting at the 1. Very solid, big, strong body, good shooter. Ryan's played 15 or 16 minutes a game at Iona for 2 years, has played in the NCAA tournament. His experience and obviously being coached by a Hall of Fame coach is noticeable. Truth Harris is a guard from Mount Vernon, New York, that went to East Tennessee State for a year. Was at Pensacola Junior College last year. Truth's one of the quickest guards that I've ever coached. Had about 12 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists versus Northwest Florida the other night. Truth is high character worker, bouncy. He's shooting the ball fantastic. Works on that almost every single day. We have a freshman guard named Devontae Hall from Chicago, who's again figuring it out as a freshman, but played the last 15 minutes of the John A. Logan game, and without his energy at the top of the press and his unselfishness and willing to do kind of the things to go unnoticed, we wouldn't have won that game. So we have a team where everybody's contributing for sure. Enoch Kalambe is a returner. I think Enoch's one of the best players in junior college. He had 19 and 6 last year versus Northwest Florida at the national tournament. Enoch's a guy that when we had 17 points in the second half versus John A. Logan, made some huge plays in the Northwest Florida game. Enoch was on the Canada U20 national team 2 summers ago, went to Orangeville Prep. I think Enoch's a 6'5", 6'6", 3-man probably in today's game, but is team-oriented, doesn't at all care about his stats, just a winner in every sense of the word. He's kind of every year I feel like we have a returner that really makes a jump and ends up being a mid to high major impact guy. And I would say Enoch is probably that guy. Edion Torado is our other returner. Eddie's an elite shooter, made 75 threes as a freshman, had 21 points against Northwest Florida the other night on I think 5 or 6 field goal attempts. He's a guy that really didn't have much interest, out of high school. He's a 5'10", 5'11" kind of combo guard, good athlete, but not elite athlete. But man, just high character, hard worker, great body, physical defender with a high ability to shoot the ball. I think that's a recipe for a lot of success. So Eddie's a huge part of our success as well. And then I guess Kyron Oliver is another guy that plays a huge role for us. Kai redshirted at New Mexico State last year, left when there was a coaching change. Kai is as good of a jumping athlete as anybody we've had. I mean, I think he had 2 threes and 3 tip dunks in the first half of the Northwest Florida game. In a game with a lot of athletes out there, I think Kai might be the best one. Plays with a motor, plays with a passion, is originally from Chicago. He's a guy with 3 years to play. I can see getting recruited at a very high level. So, I'm running through my mind right now. I might have missed one. I have a freshman named Trevion LeBeau who won a state championship here in Iowa at Ames High School. And Trevion started every game. And just a 6'4", 6'5", hard-working player. Obviously, he'll be a 2-year guy for us. But I think Trevi's a guy that could be an all-league player at a good mid-major league when he gets recruited out of here in 2 years. So obviously a very deep team, but a group that's and they've all meshed really well. Literally every one of those guys I mentioned has helped us win an important basketball game at the end so far. And I couldn't be more proud of how they've bought into what we're doing and how they've improved. And again, I think our best basketball is in front of us.
That's awesome. Love the breakdown. I love the fact you took some time. I'm not surprised. That's who you are. It's what you do. So the 200 wins. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's a couple more than that now, man.
Word on the street. We've broken 200 wins. Yes, it's a few more than that now. So obviously a lot of good players, a lot of good assistant coaches, a lot of good administration. Talk a little about the 200 wins. What did that mean? Did you envision that? Obviously you were an assistant coach. You talked about that journey. Yeah. Now you are at 200 wins in, your 8th year. That's not easy to do. So talk a little bit about that, and then we'll go one funny story at the end.
All right. So envision it. I don't know. I mean, I guess I think when I got the job here at age 29, and probably like every other 29-year-old, I thought I'd be here for a year or two and then continue. I thought I'd be the head coach of Kentucky. Yeah, Kentucky or the dream team by now, maybe, maybe in the Hall of Fame. I think we all think that we're on that path when we're in our 20s.
For sure.
I think as you get older, you learn to appreciate, what you do have, and again, that's, I guess the wins with time add up, and we have been fortunate. We have great administration. I've had great assistant coaches, many of them who have moved on that are at the Division I level, and obviously probably had, I don't know the exact number, but probably had 60 or 70 players move on to Division I. So, I guess you get that adds up to some wins. I'm most happy and excited that our current team is is off to a great start,
Yeah.
and I guess,
Yeah.
and I guess that's, I guess we want to, I think we still have a lot to do. I guess I'd be lying if we haven't really made that. We haven't made that postseason run to a national title yet. So,
Right.
Indian Hills won 3 in a row back in the 90s. And I think the last 20 years has been as successful as any program, but there is a hunger, there is a desire by me as much as anybody, but
Yeah.
our community and our school and our players to try to put it. They only hang banners in the gym here for one type of result.
Right.
There's a national runner-up here at Indian Hills since 1999, and there's no banner in the gym for it.
Right.
So that's kind of the aura and the allure of Indian Hills, is that you shoot to be the best. So we're still trying to. Don't get me wrong. I wouldn't trade anything that we've done and any of our success for anything, because I think you put the work in, and once you live and you learn, and you do the best that you can do, and you trust the results. But obviously, I'm very excited that we still have. That we have a team that can compete with the absolute best, as we've shown, and I think that I don't really compare teams,
Right.
but I think that if this team can continue to get better, we can be right up there with any of them, and hopefully that, I don't know, if we keep doing what we do, hopefully that 200 grows a little bit this year, and I love my guys to have. I don't want November to be the highlight of our season, so we're going to try to keep getting better, and obviously by March, with whatever success we're able to have, and by April and May when they get those scholarships, then that's really what will be the crowning moment of our season.
No doubt. Well said, Coach. Well said. All right, funny story. We always end with a funny story. You've done this before, so you got to go to another one that's air appropriate, of course, because I know you got a ton of them. But anything you got for us, funny story, leave us with a little holiday entertainment. Maybe it's a Thanksgiving story. Maybe you got something good for us around the holiday season.
You got to prep me for these, man. I'm not. You gotta lead me the right way for some of these.
No doubt. No doubt. So Thanksgiving, your favorite meal. We'll just go into what do you have any Thanksgiving traditions in your?
Well, we always have a meal with our team, and I guess I don't know if I can. We're traveling this Thursday morning. We have a 7 a.m. flight on Thanksgiving. We're playing Casper, Wyoming this weekend.
Our boy
we're flying to Denver, and then we're going to trek on up from there.
Yes.
So we got to figure out what we're doing this year. We usually have the guys over, and we'll eat some turkey and things like that. We've been on the road a couple times. We've been to the Cracker Barrel before, for sure.
Yeah.
I think we've been to 1 or 2 Chinese restaurants for sure. They're open. They're crowded. You gotta make reservations, or at least get a heads up that we're going to come and crush the buffet. With about 20 people. But no doubt, I think one thing in general that it's important as ever to do as a college coach is to keep everything in perspective. I do think here, I'm not exactly thrilled with how we played since we beat the number 1 team in the country. But I actually know that here this week with Thanksgiving and being away from your family, and if you look at the all of our success we've had through 9 games, it's as good as we could have hoped for.
Right.
So I do think that in this world we're in, players feel enough pressure. They're feeling pressure every single day.
No doubt.
So in a week like this, we need to try to to lighten up the mood. Here, I'll give you a funny story.
Yeah,
right?
Here we go.
I knew it was coming. That triggered something. Okay, so last year, I love my team last year. From the start, I thought our team was better than anybody else thought our team was. Okay, but we struggled. And for us, we lost some games. We were, not in the top 5 or top 10. We lost to Southeastern Iowa, who's our biggest rival at home.
Yep.
To fall to 14-5. And I'd say we'd win 3 or 4, we'd lose 1. We'd win 3 or 4, we'd lose 1. We just couldn't quite get it.
Which in most, just to jump in quick, for context, in most worlds, 14-5, everyone's celebrating that, and they're not celebrating that, but the standard has just been so high. Continue.
Exactly. So 14-5, then losing to Southeastern at home. You add those 2 things. It wasn't exactly ideal. And we had to play at Triton that next Wednesday.
Okay.
And Triton's ranked about 6th in the country. They're rolling. They're really good. We play the Illinois teams home and home now, but it's not conference. So in theory, if we lose at Triton, not the end of the world. I kind of was at the point where I didn't think we'd get in that large bid no matter what. So you're trying to figure out, all right, how do we reboot our season? And coming out of Christmas, it still kind of was COVID, So we go to Chicago on Tuesday. And it was definitely COVID still existed in Chicago for sure. It doesn't always exist in Ottumwa, Iowa, but
no doubt.
In Chicago, it existed. So we get there Tuesday, and you get there. Normally, you want to go to the gym and practice and work out. And I'm just thinking, my guys are just what I was talking about. What made me think of it was talking about this week. Like I could tell. My guys weren't trying to struggle. They weren't trying to lose to Southeastern. They weren't. It wasn't like they had some plan to fall short.
Right.
So I almost thought we were putting way too much pressure on ourselves. So that night, on Tuesday, we got there. We went to Dave and Buster's, okay, in Chicago, and you had to show vaccination cards to get in and all that. And so we had to come up with all that stuff and whatever. We got in there, and we're like the only people in the place. There's nobody else in there. Like there's, you have to have your mask on. Like it was still the heat of COVID, the whole Omicron thing and all that.
Right.
And we bought game cards. We ate dinner in there. We invested an amount of money that day in that day investment. I was thinking, man, we better win this game, man. Like, if we lose this game, I have some explaining to do.
No doubt.
But the guys had such a good time, man. Like, I have a couple of videos in my phone of them playing guitar. The toughest dudes that I've ever been around playing Guitar Hero and jumping up and down on the dance. I mean, like we're playing air hockey with it. Like it was, and we're in there by ourselves. There's nobody else in there. All right. So at the end of the thing, you used to get tickets. Now you just get credits or whatever. In my day, the tickets came out the machine and you go to the gift shop.
No doubt.
So anyways, we added up all the bonus tickets that we had. We went into the gift shop and I'm like, all right, what's the coolest thing that we can get with the amount of tickets? So we got this little stuffed animal, okay? Some kind of bear or, monkey. I don't know what it is. It's some kind of stuffed animal.
Right?
And that next
night, bring it to the game with you. I'm taking it.
Yeah, absolutely. So the next night, at Triton, there's no real locker room there. You're in a classroom. Okay, you got to go down the hall to go to the bathroom and everything.
Right.
So we had I asked a couple of the returners on what should we name it. And so we named him Theo after we had a French kid the year before named Theo Bourgeois, who's a 2-year kid for us that our guys love. So Theo always had positive energy. Always. So we named the little guy Theo. And we brought Theo with us everywhere we went last year. So that night, like at halftime, I think we were losing to Triton, maybe by 2 or 3, playing pretty well.
Yeah.
And I said, all right, guys, Theo's here because he reminds me, hey, remember how close we were and how we stuck together last night? We need positive vibes. Theo's bringing us positive vibes.
Right.
And we brought that animal with us everywhere we went last year. There's a picture of us cutting down the net when we won the region last year. And this little thing's at the top of the ladder, And at that point, people are asking me, like, what is this?
Awesome.
And the honest answer is it's just a symbol to remind us how close we are and how much we enjoy each other, and sometimes tough basketball games can kind of, you forget that you're working together to accomplish a goal. So, honestly, it became taking the foot off the gas a little bit and kind of putting ourselves in a we didn't have much of a scout for Triton. And if you ask Coach Clancy, he knows we ran the same play the entire game versus like we just decided to kind of almost fix us a little bit.
Simplify, yeah.
But those, and you can't recreate that. Like we can't go, that something specifically like that won't happen to this year's team. I think every journey you're on or every season.
Very organic, very unique.
It has to be natural. You have to stay in the moment, to stay present, to genuinely enjoy your time and the journey with one another, and then positive things can happen. So there you go. I didn't. People have asked me a lot of times, what is that little bear doing underneath you guys' bench? What is that thing doing at the ladder? So there you go. Theo, he was our good luck charm.
Now they know. Awesome. That was classic. See, I knew you were going to come up with something good. I knew it. Well, Coach, appreciate the time. Congrats on an awesome week. I know you guys are not done. You guys have some games coming up. You get your December break and then come back for conference next semester.
I hope there's no. I saw you had Coach Reiner down here the first weekend from Southern Idaho, and they kept on winning. So if there was some kind of jinx from coming on here, we're gonna try to make sure. I learned.
No, it's not like the Madden cover. It's nothing like that. Just so we know, we want to establish that teams keep winning when they come on.
We got some tough games. We're going to Casper, and then we have Western Wyoming, who obviously both those teams have been at Hutch recently, and they're both very well coached. So we got 2 tough ones this weekend. Long road trip. And shoot, we're gonna bring the team. We're gonna try to go to the Colorado Yale game on Sunday.
Nice.
To see one of our former players, Javon Hadley, who's
awesome. He's having a good year.
Having a very good year. Yeah, he's having a very good year. So
yeah, we won't be. Otherwise, I would stop in and see you. We won't be here. We'll be in Dallas. But enjoy the holiday. Keep up the great work. Always a pleasure. And I did get to sign a player, more or less. I was a part of signing a kid, and we did a good job taking care of one of your guys from South Plains. So I always have a special place for Hank. And then on the flip side, you had one of my all-time favorites, Marshall Henderson. We don't tell any Marshall Henderson stories today, but we'll save that for next time. But shout out to Marshall too.
No doubt. Yep. I appreciate it as always. And as you said, obviously we've known each other a long time, and I know you care about the kids and do a great job working for them. And shoot, you're doing a great job of promoting not just our level, but all levels of college basketball and the individual stories as well. So appreciate what you do.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. Well, we look forward to following. Best of luck and happy holidays, Hank.